If you are going to write transformative literature like Thomas Pynchon, then you are going to have to learn from Thomas Pynchon. And today, we are going to hear from the man, the myth, the legend himself, the chairman of the board, Thomas Pynchon, on the greatest pitfall that a transformative writer can fall into. Because I'm just going to be honest right here. Right conscious is for authors who are writing something that matters, something that transcends entertainment and is entertaining and transformative and ambitious and profound. Books like what Thomas Pynchon gave us from the start of his career. And today, Pynchon is going to discuss the most commonly asked question that I get when I talk about transformative literature, which is this, or I should say comment, that you can't write something transformative. That if you sit down to do something literary or ambitious, you end up just preaching to everyone. And it ends up being this pretentious mess. And we've all read something like that before. We've all written something like that before. And so what's the solution? We are going to hear about it today. And Right Conscious, if you do not already know, is the headquarters of everything related to Thomas Pynchon here on YouTube. In the playlist down below, literally go and look at it. You will find dozens of videos on Pynchon's life, his philosophy towards so many different things, and most importantly, his books. There's no channel anywhere online doing what we are doing over here, not just with Thomas Pynchon, but all the best authors. And so if you guys want to support me and my journey of creating a literary renaissance, then we need you in the game. We need conscious readers and we need more conscious writers. And so let's get on the train. And so enough of this intro. Let us now hear from Thomas Pynchon to open things up. I failed to recognize, just for openers, that the main character's problem was real and interesting enough to generate a story on its own. Apparently, I felt I had to put on a whole extra overlay of rain images and references to the wasteland and a farewell to arms. I was operating on the motto, make it literary, a piece of bad advice I made up all by myself and then took. And so this is absolute fire, everyone. This is what we need to help kick off a literary renaissance, because real transformative writing is in the revision. It's hidden in revision. It is very subtle. The additions that are made to turn something from a good story into something transformative. Because who are we kidding here? Thomas Pynchon sat down with some of his novels and dumped thousands, more time than you can imagine, into some of these novels. And most of it happened in revision. When you look at all the puns and all the layering and all the symbolism and the contrast and reoccurring characters and ideas that you typically find in a Pynchon novel, those don't happen unconsciously. He is consciously placing all of those in there. But when you read his earlier work that he's talking about in this quote, which was an early short story, it was something that he was doing very deliberately, and you could basically see. Because when you read a really transformative story, you could read something like Moby Dick, like when I first read it, and have no idea it has all these Gnostic themes in it. You can read most books that I have behind me and slowly be changed, transformed, and not know what's actually happening. And so the biggest struggle, though, of a transformative writer is this. You hear me up here right now giving the hoorah, rah, rah, transformative fiction, literary renaissance, David Goggins motivation. Who is going to carry the renaissance? But the problem is that you can't get there immediately. And when you are a young and talented writer like Thomas Pynchon, when you have this high IQ and you're attending an Ivy League university and you know that you can do it because you're fucking Thomas Pynchon, right? And I know that you're the same way. You have been different your entire life. You have been reading. You have been focused on growth. You've been integrating these experiences and have had a deeper level of interiority than the average person that you know. That's what it takes to be a writer. That's what just happens. That's what we're really doing with this entire experience of reading and writing and taking it seriously. So I know that you are different, but the problem is that the results don't happen immediately, that you just can't can't sit there and say, I know a lot and I'm a good writer, I took AP English, and show up and write something amazing. You have to sit down and go through the entire process, because you can know life writing. Let's just be honest here, everyone. Can I be honest? You can sit down and study sentence structure. You can sit down and study how to write realistic dialogue. You can do all of this craft work, as it's called, and get good at it. It's a game, it's something that you can do, but that will create a quantum leap, which seems like progress. But what's always going to be lagging behind is that transformative integration, that vibe, that authenticity, where you lead with the story, that the story can carry the weight of all this stuff. Because let's be honest here, Tolstoy also, but Thomas Pynchon is able to write about these topics, have these gags, have these songs embedded in the middle of his work, do all of this stuff because the story is awesome. The protagonist, these private eyes, Gravity's Rainbow taking place in the middle of World War II, and being able to acknowledge all the occult and sexual meanderings and insanity of all these people. He sets up the zone. He literally sets up these characters, these ideas, these investigations to carry the weight of everything else, and they are never overshadowing it. And a lot of the time, it's unclear what's actually happening. As I was just saying, you can read a Thomas Pynchon novel and get a lot of stuff, but you leave it a lot of the time saying, what does he really think? Like, there's some things that are concrete, but there's a lot of other stuff that's up in the air. But that questioning is an open loop in your brain that you continue when you are done reading. And that's the core of transformative literature. That's what my boy, the Italian stallion, Italo Calvino, said about transformative literature. It's literature that continues the conversation in your soul, in your heart, in your mind for the rest of your life. It's a work that continues a conversation in the culture at large, on Discord, on Reddit, on BookTube, everywhere for decades to come, everybody. That's what this is about. And to do that, to be able to create these open loops in people's heads. I'm still thinking about Mason and Dixon. I'm still thinking about Gravity's Rainbow. I'm still puzzling over these things, and I want to get back in the game, everybody. I want that. But let's be honest here. My God, it's really hard to do, because I wish I could sit down and do that. You wish you could too, but it's something that is a mix of talent and experience. But it starts with loving and caring about stories, because even Thomas Pynchon, the postmodernist, and yes, we can talk about Proust and Joyce and all these and these real postmodernist authors that circumvent plot entirely. I've made plenty of videos on them and on not needing plot. And we're about to hear from Pynchon in a second. Are you guys with me? Comment down below. Am I keeping the energy right now? Am I holding the line for the literary renaissance? Because I will hold the rope until everybody is up. And so I need to slow myself down right now, because I am on fire. And I have to tell you guys about my book club, the dopest book club online, the most active book club online, the place where we read Thomas Pynchon. The Right Conscious Book Club in 2026 is going to be reading 3 Pynchon novels, his longest novels, his hardest novels, Gravity's Rainbow, Mason and Dixon, and Against the Day. And I want to see each and every one of you guys there, because Substack is the home of the literary renaissance. The best readers and writers in the world right now are grinding and making their writing dreams a reality on Substack. That's where I host my book club. That's where I post my writing. That's where I have hundreds of hours of reading and writing content, many of which are courses. And that's where you can support me and all the other writers in the Renaissance, and that's where you can get started. And so if you want to support me, you need to look down at the link below and join my Substack for my free content or my paid content. If you want Gravity's Rainbow merch and literary streetwear, no Gildan, everybody, streetwear only, my merch store is down below. If you want my transformative canon guide that has over 500 books that can change your life, all fiction, all classics, no entertainment BS, link down in the description below. If you want to join the literary renaissance, and I will see you guys at the start of January for the launch of my free writing school. Whenever you hear this, it will be live. We did it once and got thousands of writers in the game, and this time we're going bigger. I'm trying to get tens of thousands of writers, not just in the game, but supporting each other, because if we're going to create a movement, we got to make it happen. And so, thank you guys for listening to this. I have to practice what I preach. I have solutions that I am making to make this happen, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield or in this video. Let's go. But Pynchon is a master storyteller. He's such a good storyteller that he can basically take you on a useless journey like he does in a lot of his novels and keep you going along. Not just for the random references, but just because you care about the characters, you care about where they're going. And he loves this false start, road that leads nowhere idea, and that adds a certain level of intensity. That's a tactic we can talk about in another video that Pynchon uses. But let's hear from Pynchon again, because he says something to even deepen this conversation. The story is a fine example of a procedural error beginning writers are always being cautioned against. It is simply wrong to begin with a theme, symbol, or abstract unifying agent, and then try to force characters and events to conform to it. By contrast, the characters in Lowlands, though problematic in other ways, were at least where I began from, bringing the theoretical stuff in later, just to give the project a look of educated class. Otherwise, it would have only been a number of unpleasant people failing to resolve difficulties in their lives. And who needs that? Hence, adventitious lectures about tall telling and geometry. So he's giving away all the cookies right here. So when I say it's possible to write transformative literature, I have never said that you can just sit down and say, I'm going to write a story about the war in Ukraine. It is just random. Like, I want to do this. And you can do that, but it lessens your ability. It makes it harder to make it great because there's this unconscious mining period. There's the idea of catching the big fish, as David Lynch talks about, and getting this idea that can support all of this weight. And if you're going to carry a story, because if you like, as a poet, I can look at a symbol, I can look at something abstract, a theme, and I could get out a 10-line poem, that's not that long. And that's okay, it can carry through. But if you're going to write a 200,000-word novel, you're going to need more than a symbol or something to carry you through. You're going to need a much bigger idea, aka a character, a plot. More importantly, you're going to need to work with your unconscious to kind of build all this out and get it all on the page. And then that's where the transformative work begins. That's where the thousands and thousands of hours of conscious revision, sentence structure tweaking, deepening, the addition of contrast, the freshening up of the dialogue, moving things around. Just every single part of revision, that's where it all takes place. And all of that has the reader in mind. It's thinking of the audience. Because I truly do believe that if you can master your unconscious, which is actually the easy part, that if you can really tap into this artistic side of yourself, right? You can really get into all of that and bring a huge idea forth, then you can learn all the other stuff. The other stuff is harder, but it just takes time. It's just something that you have to do, and when you're younger, it may take longer, and you learn mistakes along the way. But what you don't want is that I feel like it's very hard that if you have this deep idea that you're going to be lecturing us about geometry or some of these things. I read stories on Substack all the time where I'm being lectured to, where it's way too long. It's just like, oh my God, are you serious right now? You're making me read about this because you think that this is going to deepen this one little point that you're going to make later and make me care a little bit more? No, I reject that premise. I want my stories to feel alive. I want the prose to feel alive. I want it to feel purposeful, at least a lot of the time. And so everything else needs to be built around that. But that building is a talent. It's architecture. The story and all that's the foundation, but everything else is what makes the cathedral. There have been plenty of great ideas in the past. And a good idea is good enough to write something that's good and that can help people. But if you were trying to write something great, if you're trying to write something that has a high degree or a very high percentage chance of being able to transform people, not just in a simple way, but in a deep way, to make people contemplate and continue that conversation in their soul, it's all about injecting themes and symbolism, but hiding it all, never feeling like you are preaching, teaching us as we are going along, whether that's in an intellectual way like Pynchon does, or in a moral or a spiritual way, or in a tragic way like so many great novels do behind me, doing it in a way that's unique, that penetrates to the heart of humanity. That's what it's all about, everybody. That's what's going to create a literary renaissance. That's what is missing. There are plenty of authors who can do this in the modern world, and I could talk about plenty of them, but we need more. We need more authors writing transformative literature so that we can get some breakout literary celebrities, so that we can really get some books on the table that we can give to anyone and everyone, that we can say, this is it. This guy right here, he is the new Cormac McCarthy. He is the next Thomas Pynchon. And luckily, we still have Thomas Pynchon still here. But as the decades wear on, we are losing more and more great authors. And so I'm calling upon each and every one of you guys to fill the ranks. And if you can't fill the ranks, then support those who are going to do it. Do not rush yourself. Take the time to learn this process. There is a reason why this takes 5 or 10 years of consistent work to be able to do. For a lot of people, it's 10 to 20. We are in one of the least rewarding and one of the hardest games out there. But what we also are in is the deepest artistic medium. In the novel, you can go deeper than anybody else and have full creative control. You don't need to worry about the producer. You don't need to worry about the record label or your bandmates or the guy in the studio. You can sit down right now and create a masterpiece. You can take people on a journey through hundreds of thousands of words to the deepest levels of their soul, make them question their entire reality from your own desk without ever having to speak or show your face or do anything. It's insane. That's what Thomas Pynchon did. We are the noble warriors. We are the martyrs. And so let's step up, everybody. Let's get this going. I need you to stand up right now and say, let's motherfucking go, everybody. I salute each and every one of you guys, my writing soul jaws out there. I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Shout out to Thomas Pynchon for the advice. Keep this always in mind. Don't preach. And I'll see you guys very soon in the next video.